Yeah, I don't know that this is the right music to start off Friday. I mean, here we are, just hours away from the weekend. Sound the Aruga horn. We'll all be out on the road, of course, next weekend. Oh, yeah, there are going to be some strange people on the road next weekend. That's when they all go drink green beer and then they end up becoming unwell on it. I did witness some of that. I went to college, you know. 6 minutes after 6 o'clock, we're at 33. Bill Colley with you on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. And a big thank you for spending some time with me this morning. Always enjoy having you here. And obviously, I enjoy doing what I'm doing because it's not really very hard. And I'm not laughing. I just know that I have been blessed because so many of you are, you're swinging a pickaxe, or there's so many other things people are doing today that are a lot more difficult than what I do on a daily basis. I just get to sit here and share what's on my mind, albeit not everybody likes it. It's funny. The people who like it the least can't get enough of it. We had a message yesterday on our Facebook page from a guy. He's in Wisconsin. So either he saw something online or he heard the show online, and he immediately declared me a bigot and demanded that I be fired from the job. Now, nobody here knows who the guy is, and he didn't cite what he was angry about. Obviously, just being a liberal was all was really needed to set him off at this point. So I enjoy jousting with those people just a wee bit. They have their own network. It's called National Palestinian Radio, NPR, and yet they have to fly around ours. It's like moths to the flame. In other words, they've been in denial of the truth so long, but they're still attracted to it. Maybe eventually they'll come around. Got a lot to talk about today. First of all, I'll get to this story a little bit later, but it's going to dovetail into what I'm talking about at length in this half hour. Not far from here, just across the state line in Utah, 2 days ago, Ash Wednesday. Now, Ash Wednesday, primarily associated with the Roman Catholic Church, but several other churches also go to church and they can spread ashes on your forehead. Anglicans, that is, Episcopalians do it. Some of the Lutheran churches in the United States do it. Even some other denominations now have Ash Wednesday services. But this little boy who comes from a Roman Catholic family went to school and gotten up early and gone to church, went to school with ashes on his forehead, and his teacher demanded that he wash it off. And then gave him a wipe. You know what a wipe is. You can buy these at the store and you're not supposed to flush them. And he had to wipe it from his forehead. Since then, she has sent, after the proverbial excrement hit the fan, she sent a note of apology home to the family with some candy, as if somehow that's going to make everything all better. The school was so upset by it when they realized what had happened that the school found somebody in-house, somebody on the administrative team who happens to be a deacon at a Roman Catholic church, and had him call the family. I guess they thought, well, gee, you must speak Latin. Call them and explain it. Try to explain it away if you can. And so this happened, and he called the house and had a long conversation with the family. The school system is now doing what is called a mea culpa. Speaking of Latin. I was reading the story and I thought, what would have happened if she had swept, let's say, a boy who came from a Muslim family or a Sikh family, or even a young woman in a headscarf had come into class. Would she have pulled the headscarf off? Would she have knocked the turban off one of the little boys? And if she had done that, because this is what it's roughly equivalent to that, what would have been the reaction? As far as I know, she's still working today. But if she had done that to someone of those faiths, she would have been made to walk the plank immediately. But I'm sure that for a lot of liberals out there, it's like, a big deal, ashes. But if it happened to one of their protected minority classes, none of whom, by the way, are fond of liberals, other than saying, hey, useful idiots, we'll kill you last. It's almost, put it in those terms, I'm not telling you anything you don't know already. What they're doing, on the other hand, is simply just looking away when something like this happens. It's no different than what's going on in the House of Representatives at the moment, in Washington, D.C. The Democrats took the minority, or they had the minority, they took the majority after the election in November, and that began in January when they all went back into session. And among those new members of the House who are joining it for the first time is a woman. I'm not even going to say she's a young woman. I believe she's in her 30s now, late 30s, Ilhan Omar. And she's a refugee from East Africa. She's a Muslim. She started wearing a headscarf after 9/11, I guess to show solidarity with those people who were flying airplanes into buildings. I haven't quite figured out why. She said in solidarity, and I thought, okay, with them? Well, she has a bad habit of putting her foot in her mouth when it comes to Jews. As you know, the Muslim world would a friend of mine told me a story. He met a doctor who was from Egypt, and they became good friends. And he went to the doctor's house one time to visit, and they were having a conversation, the doctor's wife and my friend, and the subject of Israel came up, and there'd been an attack on an Israeli school bus. Several little children were killed, and my friend Duke was upset about that, and the doctor's wife said, oh, come on, they're just Jews. And this may be opening a window, and these people are getting positions of power in this country now. We've been warning about this all along, and now the Democrats who brought it upon us are looking for an exit. They don't want to address it. This is House Speaker Nancy Pelosi during her weekly news conference. That happens Thursdays. She's speaking to reporters. One of them asked if there was a need for Ilhan Omar to apologize. Listen to Pelosi's rambling response.
Does she need to apologize?
Well, she may need to explain that she did not. It's up to her to explain, but I do not believe that she understood the full weight of the words. As I say, when you're an advocate out there, as I was, so I appreciate all the enthusiasm that comes into our Congress. I've told you that before. That was me pushing a stroller and carrying those signs. So I understand how advocates come in with their enthusiasms. But when you cross that threshold into Congress, your words weigh much more than when you're shouting at somebody outside.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? In other words, if she's not in Congress, if she's still back in Minnesota, she can run around the streets all the time, pushing baby strollers while she's at it, so her children will learn the same behavior, screaming death to the Jews, death to America, whatever it is they're going to be screaming, death to Christians. But when she gets elected to Congress, she should hide that. Isn't that what Pelosi is saying? She should hide that. She shouldn't bring that up. We should just sweep this under the rug. There was originally going to be, if you didn't know this, there was going to be an effort to condemn what this woman has said, and then they kept watering it down and watering it down. They even brought her in, and she helped water it down. Now it is just a resolution. It doesn't have any impact. It's just a resolution, and it condemns hate. Well, isn't that pleasant? Steve King, the Republican from Iowa, who said he didn't know when the term nationalist became a dirty word, he was pulled off all of his committee assignments, and there were demands from the left that he resign his seat. But then again, he's a Republican. Omar goes around, and she stops short of saying, let's stick the Jews in ovens, but it's getting there. And, well, you know, I used to push a baby stroller, and then I got elected to Congress. She got elected to Congress, too. And, you know, the things she said outside, she shouldn't say here. Warms your heart, doesn't it, that Nancy Pelosi is in control? I don't know. I think that dementia patients should probably find something other than serving as Speaker of the House of Representatives. Government has enough problems at the moment. We've got to get to a break. I've got more on this story coming up. We're at 32. We'll check. In fact, we're going to check in and get an update on the Ag Report in just a moment, as well as a check of the weather. Bill Colley with you on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. It's a balmy 32. Actually, I was outside. I know it's snowing. We're supposed to get a ton of snow south of the city today and near the Nevada state line out through the South Hills, and then it's going to sweep into Burley and Rupert and just bury them up to their necks in snow. But, yeah, we haven't seen any. I was outside about 20 minutes after 5 this morning in the parking lot. It was just beautiful. The Christian conservative writer Cheryl Chumley has a piece. She's a columnist and an editor at Washington Times. She has her own website as well, where I found this last night. Anti-Semitism within America's gates is what she calls it. And she says Representative Omar, a Democrat Muslim representing Minnesota, has generated quite a controversy for suggesting America's historical support for Israel is tantamount to allegiance to a foreign nation, and for previous remarks she's made regarding the Jewish people, who she thinks are greedy and behind a worldwide conspiracy to control everybody else. So few, how do they pull it off? She says her remarks ought not to be taken lightly. What starts as subtly can soon enough become rooted and sown. And she said, supporting a nation financially and politically is not the same as rendering allegiance. Secondly, as Democrat Representative Nita Lowey tweeted, Lowey is Jewish. She said, throughout history, Jews have been accused of dual loyalty, leading to discrimination and violence, which is why these accusations are hurtful. The writer says leftists are still rallying, though, to Omar's defense. Why would they be doing that? It's a great piece from Daniel Pipes. He's Jewish, too, as well. His father worked for many, many years for Ronald Reagan during the Reagan presidency, and Pipes is the founder of something called Middle East Forum. And despite the fact that he's not the friendliest guy when it comes to Islam, he's often invited, because of his intelligence, to speak on panels in Iran. Should tell you something, but he suggests today that Democrats have been so dividing people up in this country. He warns them if they continue to do this, they'll end up like the liberals in Europe. And the liberals or the labor parties in Europe, which so divided the working class from immigrants and other people coming in from certain parts of the world, that those people have no longer, or the workers no longer are supporting those parties. So I guess we should tell the Democrats, keep it up. After all, it's your own, well, I don't want to use the word funeral. They'll accuse me of wishing Democrats dead. Now, they're all going to die someday. Nobody's going to live forever, but I'm just saying, if the party goes away eventually, it might not be a bad thing for the good old USA. She also mentions that the Southern Poverty Law Center, which just issued a report the other day about all the mean people in Idaho, it cited one organization that is connected to Act for America, which is an organization that just simply warns about what can happen if your country eventually reaches a tipping point with immigrants from the Islamic world. And according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is run by liberals and some people of questionable sexual habits, they claim that that organization is mean, and must be stopped. I don't know how they're going to stop it. They don't have their own army, but that's what they say. It says, the greatest campus threat, though, is being ignored by the Southern Poverty Law Center. That comes from a website called frc.org about the Southern Poverty Law Center's failure to adequately address the 1,700-plus reported anti-Semitic attacks on college campuses between 2015 and 2017. And the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights said it has secured in the last 13 years 250 U.S. victories with its boycott, divestment, and sanctions campaign. In other words, that's to hurt companies that do business with Israel. Because, well, Israel exists, and these people can't stand that. Well, another comment I heard yesterday was, CARE was very angry. That is the Council on American Islamic Relations. Liberals love that organization, even though it has supported terrorists, the Muslim Brotherhood, in the past. Liberals love that organization, and the members of CARE, the people who lead it, issued a statement in support of Omar. They're very, very angry that she's not allowed to put Jews in ovens. As I said earlier, she's not yet recommended that. She just keeps dancing around it and getting closer and closer and closer. Joe Lieberman, who served as a Democrat in the U.S. Senate for many, many years from Connecticut, was a fairly conservative guy on a lot of issues. He was appearing with Martha McCallum on The Story on the Fox News Channel. And the former senator is stunned that Omar is not named in the House resolution.
I read the resolution, and it reminds me of the old line that a camel is a horse designed by a committee. So this is a resolution drafted by a caucus. So it started out being a resolution to condemn anti-Semitism because of the anti-Semitic remarks made by Congresswoman Omar. Yeah. Her name is left out, and now...
Do you agree with that her name is left out?
I don't. I mean, I think this resolution, as it's passed, though it's a bit of a hodgepodge, nonetheless is a statement against all forms of hatred. As your introduction said, it went way back to the Dreyfus Affair and John F. Kennedy's Catholicism, etc. But okay, let's say it's a basic statement against hatred. But really, what the House of Representatives still has to do, and it didn't do today, is to call out and hold accountable Congresswoman Omar for the anti-Semitic comments it made. This is the way, look, what people in public life say matters. And if the House of Representatives doesn't deal specifically in response to what Congresswoman Omar said. It's going to give a message to other people in Congress the next time they want to get up and say something racist or homophobic or against another religion. So I think they only did part of the job today.
I mean, a resolution doesn't have much teeth anyway. It just says, here's something we all agree on. So when you have a resolution that doesn't even call out the behavior that you discuss, it seems like it has even less grit to it. CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, has just put out this statement. Unfortunately, this resolution was introduced to silence legitimate criticism of domestic support for the discriminatory and segregationist policies of a foreign government that received billions of American taxpayer dollars. What do you say to that, Senator?
Well, that's just not true. Fortunately, in my opinion, there is broad bipartisan support for a strong U.S.-Israel relationship and for our fellow democracy, Israel.
I'm going to point out, too, a lot of these organizations, depending on which side of the political divide you happen to be on, they're either good or they're evil. Here's from, this is a story from the Daily Caller today, alleging that the American-Israel Public Affairs Committee, known as AIPAC, was coming after her and some of her colleagues. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's friends, by the way, with Ilhan Omar and also the other new Muslim elected to Congress, Rashida Tlaib. Now they're going to be using this as a fundraising effort. They actually show a picture here of the letter that's being sent out by Ocasio-Cortez. She says it's official. AIPAC is coming after Alexandria, Ilhan, and Rashida. I'm going to jump down here. It says, help us build a progressive movement that fights for that honest conversation, inclusiveness, and our universal fight against hate with a $27 contribution. So they're using this to raise money. They say they're against hate, but seem to hate a lot of people themselves, don't they? I'm telling you, these people are bats. And yet somehow they're media darlings and the darlings of the left. It should tell us everything we need to know about modern American politics and who the lefties happen to be. And then finally, just want to get to this. Sean Hannity bringing this up on his program on the Fox News channel last night. And he explains the libs are just plain wusses when it comes to addressing the anti-Semitism in their own party.
I'm sure Speaker Pelosi will give the same considerations to Republicans when they say similar things, God forbid, or she'll make excuses for anybody. Now, Pelosi, sadly, is not the only Democrat giving cover to Congresswoman Omar. The chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee is also refusing to take the necessary action against the anti-Semite on his committee. Take a look.
At what point do you say to her, Congresswoman Omar, look, you're not on this committee anymore. You strip her of your seat. Are you close to that or at that point?
No, I'm not close to it. First of all, it's not up to me. This is done by the leadership. I don't know that would do anything except exacerbate the situation even more. I'm looking to get rid of anti-Semitism, not looking to punish anybody.
Biggest problem here is this keeps happening with Congressman Omar again and again. And believe it or not, it gets worse. Democratic Majority Whip James Clyburn actually saying to The Hill that Omar's life experience is way, quote, more personal than the children of Holocaust survivors, so everyone should give her a break. All right, well, I'm not sure if most Americans agree with that analogy. We did lose 6 million Jewish souls were slaughtered in the Holocaust, and that's not all. Many 2020 presidential candidates, they are also supporting Omar, including Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren. So too are many other prominent Democrats on Capitol Hill. We've got the tape. Take a look.
I think it's just part of a learning process that we have as a country, frankly.
There are different perspectives. My perspective is that her comments were inappropriate, but that she has apologized and that we should move on.
I'm looking to get rid of anti-Semitism, not looking to punish anybody.
Ilhan Omar is a refugee from Somalia. She comes from a different culture. She has things to learn.
She apologizes again and again and again. Now, this is really now the party of literally accepting what is pretty virulent anti-Semitism, bigotry, and perhaps most alarming and most telling, part of this entire scandal is that a House resolution that was to condemn anti-Semitism, it didn't have enough Democratic support to even bring it to a vote because they knew it wouldn't pass. Well, that was until Speaker Pelosi allowed Congresswoman Omar access to literally help in the editing of the new resolution.
That was Sean Hannity. We'll hear from him, in fact, in just about 20 minutes on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com with his morning update. We're at 31. Bill Colley with you on Magic Valley this morning until 10 a.m., and we've got the news on the way in just a moment. There's a columnist writing at Daily Signal by the name of David Hersani, conservative columnist, and he says the Democrats now, their reaction seems to be to try to find Republicans who may have said something anti-Semitic. That way they can say, see, they do it, they do it, they do it. Like school kids. So the latest is they're attacking Republicans who they say have attacked Tom Steyer, who's a Jewish billionaire from California. Well, the Republicans haven't said Tom Steyer's a Jew, we should stick him in an oven. They've just attacked Tom Steyer because Tom Steyer is funding candidates to run against Republicans, and they're critical of him, trying to take Republicans out with his big money. That doesn't say anything about his religious faith or his ethnic background. The news is next. Bill Colley with you on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. Also, Gun Talk today just after 8 o'clock news. There's a short drive between here and Bountiful, Utah, and I bring this up since we're talking about people in religious faith and religious hatred. There's a short drive, not even 3 hours on a normal day, to get from here to Bountiful, where a big story took place this week, and I want to get to that in just a moment, but I do want to also remind you, we're at that time of year right now where we're sort of between seasons. Of course, it's going to be miserable Monday morning when I lose an hour of sleep before I come in, and I do come in early. I just wanted to point out, though, if you have storage needs between seasons, we've got a great place for you to get all of that done, and that would be All-Star Secure Storage, which has a brand new facility. All-Star Secure Storage is fully fenced and lighted with digital video surveillance and 24-hour access, and you get your own personalized electronic gate code. All-Star Secure Storage has the lowest rates around. It's hassle-free, too. Rent your unit at the local office or online at allstarsecurestorage.com. You can manage your account online 24/7. Mention this ad and get your first month for free. All-Star Secure Storage is behind the old Jerome Theater, near the Jerome Freeway exit. Bill Colley with you at 6:37. We're at 32 on newsradio1310.com as well as News Radio 1310 KLIX. And caller, you're up next. You're on the air.
Yeah, all of those people making that resolution, they left off the most important one. All those foreigners are talking about the white people, and they're always running down the white people. And why can't they put a resolution to stop picking on the white people?
Just very profound. I thank you for the call. Speaking of this place, Bountiful, Utah, not very far from us. I've driven by it. I've never gotten off the highway and stopped there. It's between Ogden and North Salt Lake City. In fact, just north of North Salt Lake City. I cite this place because religious prejudice of all sorts, and maybe it's not even prejudice, maybe it's just complete misunderstanding of people's religious faith, still very much alive in this country. Let me ask you a question. I'll put it this way. If you had a student walk into a classroom, and that student came from the Sikh faith or the Muslim faith, and it was a young boy, and he had a turban on, and the teacher walked over and said, "Take that off," and when the boy refused, if the teacher knocked the turban off, what do you think would happen? Yeah, you know. I mean, it's a rhetorical question. Or if it was a young woman and she was from the Islamic faith and she had a headscarf on, if the teacher grabbed the scarf and pulled it off her head, what would happen? Again, rhetorical question. You know what would happen. There'd be demonstrations and national media would be outside that school, and there'd be denunciations on Clinton News Network and over at MSDNC, on the op-ed pages of the local newspapers, as well as the New York Times and Pravda on the Potomac. And yet, what happened this week in Bountiful? Fox picked it up. I'm not surprised there, but I'm not sure anybody else is paying a lot of attention to this. A Utah elementary school teacher apologized to one of her Catholic students Wednesday and may still face disciplinary action. There's a statement on the website. I looked it up on the school today, Valley View Elementary School in Bountiful, Utah. There's a statement there from the administration, and it just says, "We're so sorry. We didn't mean it. No, leave us alone, please." Doesn't say anything about any discipline for the school teacher. After she forced the boy to wash off the Ash Wednesday cross on his forehead. William McLeod, a fourth grader at Valley View, received the ash marking made in the shape of a cross and applied by a priest for the Catholic religious day that signals the start of the Lenten season, and then went to school. And he told local Fox affiliate Channel 13, that's in Salt Lake City, he was the only student who had ashes. Of course, it's probably not too terribly common in that particular cradle of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But still, you have a growing Catholic population in that area. I was told, in fact, by a friend from over in Rupert, she has in-laws who live in Salt Lake City because of the migration, not only from across the United States, but from south of the border, that the largest denomination now in Salt Lake City happens to be Roman Catholic. The writer says a lot of students ask me what it said. Well, that's what the boy said, actually. So he explained it was part of his faith. Well, the teacher was not happy. She took the boy aside and said, quote, "You have to take it off," unquote. That's what he explains. She gave me a disinfection wipe, whatever they are called, and she made me wipe it off. William's grandmother, Karen Fisher, told Fox 13 she was pretty upset and received a call from the school's principal and the teacher who ordered the cross to be washed away. William's family said the teacher apologized with a handwritten note and candy. "Oh, I'm sorry, I knocked your turban off. Here's a lollipop." See, that's what would happen. Can you imagine what would happen if she had done that to somebody who came in and because of their faith, they would wear a turban on their head and she knocked it off? Oh, probably in this case, she would have said, we're not going to send you candy. Sorry about knocking your turban off. Here's a chunk of Spam. Go ahead and eat it. I'm telling you, you can get away with this stuff if it's somebody who is of a Christian denomination. But if this had happened to somebody who was from the Islamic faith, as I said earlier, or how about someone who was Hindu, and if they walked in with that symbol of their caste on their forehead, and somebody had told them to remove that again, what would happen in that situation? The fallout would be incredible, but hush-hush among mainstream media on this particular situation. Why? Because it's what media wants. I can't find any other explanation. All right, speaking of which, Christian students in California are going to be forced under a proposal, it's not law yet, to support Planned Parenthood. Get this, Brittany Hughes, she is from the Media Research Center. She was appearing on the Fox News channel. California would like Planned Parenthood phone numbers on all student IDs, including students as young as 12 years old. Take a listen to this. She's appearing this morning, I believe it is, with Heather Childers on the Fox News channel. This should make you all very, very concerned.
It affects public schools, high schools, colleges, and it includes Christian campuses as well. So what is your take on this?
So this is a bill that was proposed by California Assemblyman Jesse Gabriel, who, by the way, has taken over $4,000 from Planned Parenthood for his campaign just in 2018 alone. Of course, we know Planned Parenthood in 2018 donated over $1 million to Democratic lawmakers like Jesse Gabriel and many other prominent California state lawmakers. But this bill, critics are saying this bill just goes completely over the top in violating students' First Amendment rights, whether that's the right to religious freedom when it comes to private schools, including Christian schools like Catholic schools, that obviously have a problem with much of Planned Parenthood's platform. But it also violates students' First Amendment rights by requiring them to basically advertise for Planned Parenthood by putting Planned Parenthood hotline numbers on all student IDs.
And by the way, we're going to pass out books too. Janie got her first abortion. Now, children, this will be required reading, and we expect a 3-page report on it tomorrow morning. And if you've had one your own, please tell us what that was like and share your experience so that we'll all be more comfortable with it. We liberals in California know what's best for you. And tomorrow, if you complete the assignment, we're all going for a ride on the high-speed choo-choo. Understand you've all had dreams of going to Bakersfield. We're at 32. We've got the Hannity Morning Update coming up. Bill Colley with you on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Hey, a quick reminder. The good folks from Mount Harrison Audiology scheduled to be in the studio with us on Monday morning. They continue at the office to expand to meet the community's hearing healthcare needs. The staff now includes 3 doctors of audiology as they welcome Dr. Shane Hunsaker to the practice. They now offer a combined 50 years of experience diagnosing and treating hearing loss. In Mount Harrison Audiology, the goal is to provide the most comprehensive hearing health care available in southern Idaho. Learn more at mountharrisonaudiology.com or call 208-312-0957. That's 208-312-0957. Capital update coming up in just a couple of minutes, too, from Idaho's legislative Democrats.